Kenyans are brilliant. Kenyans are bright. Everybody has got an idea. So you strive and struggle to beat your opponent by any means possible. Even if it is you standing on the rooftop of your vehicle and telling them, nikichaguliwa nitabadilisha visima vyote badala ya maji maziwa na sharubati. I'll do it.
You'll do that.
Yeah, simple. So because you want to beat your opponent by any means possible, right or wrong, you just
That's
believe
right.
the end justifies the means.
Yeah.
So when they make promises, sometimes reality gets away from them. You forget about the practicability of what you're promising.
Okay.
Because you know the role of an opposition leader, or when you are outside the government and talking about what the government should do, is very easy. It's like a football match. You know, football fans will believe you feel it is easy, but put yourself there and you will know that it is not an easy job. So you will be promising things because you are outside of the government and you've not vetted well, you've not investigated well, you've not put your facts together about the practicability of this particular thing you're promising. So for that reason, when you get into power and realize now I have this position, but where it is not I thought. You understand? So that is what happens. It's not about these people even changing. It's about they believed it is possible. They believed it is easy until they got there. So the reality hits people
when they're there.
Yes.
So like now make me understand. You said that before you get a position, and you are really eager, and you can even say that mimi nikipata nafasi hii barabara nitatengeneza.
Yes.
Like mimi nikipata nafasi hii maisha watu nitabadilisha ikuwe hivi. But now get in there, you'll forget with everything that you promised.
No, now this is it. You promised watu nitabadilisha visima na tap mifereji
badala ya maji ikuwe sharubati.
Yes. Then you go there and your magic is not working. You know, hey, since I'll not deliver this, I'm going home. So let me just amass wealth and go home.
Okay.
So it's a question of you have given up because what you thought you could do, you cannot be able to do.
So it's now the problem comes whereby you give fake promises, and then after giving promises, you realize that you cannot do what you said. So when you get in office, now you start accumulating the wealth, and then knowing very well that you need to be elected, so utaenda nyumbani.
So this is what they believe, and a majority of Kenyans do the same once they have been elected. At first, they are not fake promises. When you are talking about it, sometimes you even believe about the same. You believe that indeed you are going to build a 200-kilometer bitumen whatever road. You are going to supply water. Then when you get into power and you realize there are not enough resources to do what you promised, and then people start bringing it back because those people you beat and those ones who have got who are vying, who are admiring your seat start now revealing to the people, si aliwaambia,
okay,
and you feel like the pressure is too much. You will start using lies to cover up, lies that bind. You try to cover up that. You try to defend yourself. You try to give reasons. You try to do this. You try to do this. At last, you feel but because mbele we do not know. The future is very pregnant. So what we are going to do? Let me make sure that nikitoka hapa siulizwi alikuwa MP siku hizi anatembea na slippers ama sijui whatever. You understand? So that is normally what is happening.
Welcome back to Havana Media. My name is Boniface Awino, and as usual, I'm going to be your host for today. Now, I'm very glad here to host a guest, and before we get into our discussion, I would like to give him time to introduce himself, tell us who he is, and maybe we continue from there. Karibu.
Thank you. My name is Kevin Chemiat.
Okay.
But I also go by Chemiat Arap Chemoet.
Okay.
Kevin is professionally a teacher, But right now, I've ventured into business. I deal with the host of staff.
Okay.
I'm into branding and what have you. Besides that, I'm a friend to. Okay, I'm a climate change champion. Yes, so that's what I basically do.
How long have you done the climate change and all that?
It's now 3 years. Yeah, I involved myself in programs that help, especially conserve the environment. I also help in actually creating awareness and teaching some of the peasants and farmers about the mitigation measures, because, you know, for example, when the weather pattern has changed and the traditional farmers' calendar is affected, sometimes it affects their productivity or their production. So for that reason, I engage myself a lot with teaching them on how to go alongside those changes and how to adapt also, making sure that you also change the type of crops or the type of farming you are doing before. And if that one is not necessary, then you can also try and time it well.
And how do you balance this, the being a teacher and at the same time being in the climate area?
Okay, at the moment I'm not teaching again, because I taught high school for 5 years until 2022. From 2022 to this minute, I've been a freelance type of a lecturer.
Okay.
I've been teaching some colleges here and there. I teach statistics.
Okay.
And being a businessman, you know, I'm the CEO of Chemiat Enterprises as well as Epic Group Enterprises. So mine is managerial. So even right now we are here, the business is running. We have other people who can help that one be smooth. Yes,
that's great. That's a great. Okay, that's a great thing. What made you just decide not to venture into, like, just get into teaching? Like, let me just do it for the rest of my life and start your own company.
Okay, sometimes you know, Kenya is a world of opportunities. I come from a family where almost everyone is a teacher. Both my parents were teachers. My siblings, some of them are teachers, cousins, and my uncle. So I became a teacher, yes, and I liked it because I think besides being a professional, I'm a natural teacher. I'm just talented, but I felt I need to break the monotony.
Okay.
So I needed to do something different. I think I just believed I had overlived my usefulness in the career, having touched souls, taught people who are now at the university and what have you. I felt, no, there is not much I can do in this field anymore. Let me be productive in another field of the economy.
It didn't bring the conflict between you and the family, because from your statement, it's like your lineage is a lineage of teachers. Did it bring the conflict between you and the family?
Yeah, there was conflict. Even besides that one, between myself and some of the family members, there was that internal conflict. Myself, I felt like, you know, it was a big decision to make. You wrestle a lot, and you know, I stopped teaching when I didn't have anything else to do. I was actually so much involved with the campaigns, and sometimes it really brought a lot of friction between myself and my principal, because I was so much involved with politics. And the principal, you know, as civil servants, we are not allowed to be engaging ourselves in the same. But, you know, it is passion that is burning inside. So many times I found myself in the wrong books. I had to answer these and what have you. So I had some political promises. I supported some of the politicians. I was an active member of the government, the UDA. And some individuals who are vying also made some personal promises to me, told me, once I win, this is what you're going to get. So I had to say, there is no harm in trying.
Yeah, so you just had to give it a try.
Yes, and as I finish on that one, I think some of my sisters were really harsh on me. Are you even sure you are doing the right thing? Do you think unaacha kazi, where are you going to be, where are you going to, what will happen, and what have you? And because my old man was there, he also told me it's a difficult path you're taking, but again he concluded and said, "We ni mwanaume."
So
you'll find a way.
You'll find a way.
So I had his blessings.
So now you see, now that is a problem now. Sometimes we normally take our fathers for granted, but fathers understand their men, their boys more than mothers. Suppose it was a mother who could have told you, she could have told you that, "Where moi?" Like
probably she could have cast me.
But you see now the father understood that you are also a man who needs to find his own path. You don't need to do what they are doing to survive. Yeah, that one now brings me to this question that we are in an era whereby we are being led by this government. Everybody is complaining like this government is wrong. Is it really true that the government is wrong, or it's just the way people are taking it?
Okay, that one is both ways. I cannot say that the government is wrong, and I can also defend the government that it is wrong, not wrong. The government is wrong in the essence that it made promises, and instead of just fulfilling these very particular promises, it goes ahead to do the direct opposite. You know, you had better not done anything about it. I remember sometimes back, and sorry to say this, when there was the issue of BBI, you know, our president, but then the deputy president, was seen to be against it and gave his own reasons. Some of the reasons were tunafaa tufikirie mwananchi kwanza before ourselves tutafute vyo, and he was fighting the expanded executive kind of a government. When he gets to power, he does exactly what
now we see the opposite of
so he's doing the opposite. The appointment of the were they 50 CAS positions, that one is creating of jobs to the wealthy and what have you, the friends, rewarding your friends. So to me, that is where the government comes in wrong, and that is because it promised before the campaigns, and then it is doing the exact opposite of the same. But again, you come to think about this. Some of the ideas the government has are just but good ideas. The ideas that if put into practical situations and they worked, they could be the best. A very good example is the SHA thing, the social health, whatever. You know, the health cover program is one of the most brilliant if you read about it and if you understood the way it works. So the frustration of Kenyans is not that it is a bad thing, it is that it is not working.
It is not working.
So if it worked, it could be the best idea ever in the history. In fact, in the world, I think we shall be one of the few countries with the best medical cover as a government. So it's not about the government being wrong or being right. It is about they have policies, they have ideas, but what is beating them is putting those ideas into practical situations.
Now implementing them.
Yes, implementing them. And it also comes to the question of goodwill. You have people in power. Sometimes others have even suspected that the government is being sabotaged by individuals, and which could be true. You cannot rule it out, because I don't see how the president and the executive, now leave alone the MPs, the legislature, could not be seeing the cries. You know, they could be seeing, but you've been held at a point where you can't do anything.
You can't do anything about it.
I don't just find the connectivity. You read through the program and the way it is supposed to be to work, and the way it should be implemented. Right now, the SHA thing only needs funding. Once there is money and I access those services that like they are stated, I promise you, even Kenyans will be celebrating.
But where are they going to get this money? Yet they are using the money to walk around the country. Yet this money that they're misusing, can be taken into the SHA thing and just make it work.
You know, it also brings in a question of misplaced priorities. In that, what are your priorities as a government? You know, in as much as they need to really deliver, they also care about the continuity. They believe they need more than 5 years to continue. So politics run the economy of every given country, and for that reason, as they lead, they also play politics, so that they do not just deliver and at the end of the day go home after the 5 years. So they are also trying not to go home, and that is why they are also channeling some of the money into doing forums that look like campaigns to make sure they maintain relevance, and they also buy that confidence of Mwananchi. Yeah, so it's a question of
the priorities. Yes, what are your priorities? And then there's money. Kenya is wealthy. We have resources. We have brilliant people outside there, people with brains. I remember somebody once said that the problem with Africa, and which Kenya is not an exception, is that those with money, those with brains do not have power, and those with the power do not have brains. That is what is happening here, because we have got brains that can make sure that using the available resources, because Kenya has got one of the best resource in terms of I don't know, human resource. We have so many people who can work in different sectors. A Kenyan, especially who has gone through the now being phased out education system, is somebody who can be diverse. You understand? So in terms of labor, Kenya is endowed. But now, how to put this labor into use is what is beating us. The rain is beating us. How I would wish that the national government went to benchmark in Murang'a County. I'm using that one as an example because, Murang'a County, led by Governor Kangata, is one of a county, instead of going to cry and castigate the national government or the treasury for not releasing funds so that they can continue with their projects, they came up with a way they can collect more. And not just collecting more, but they had to seal all the loopholes where the money used to get lost through. You understand? By so doing, their revenue collection moved and improved from around 300 million to in excess of 1.2 billion without adding extra taxes. They just closed all those loopholes. You understand? For example, they digitalized the process of trade license application. This one, initially, you could go there, somebody seated with a biro, the carbon paper, copy or whatever. So they put in a cardboard to prevent this one from copying itself. In fact, some people even printed their own receipt books. So that you are being given a receipt book, but it is different from whatever that will be submitted to the county for audit. So people are collecting money anyhow, and most of the money was getting lost into private hands. But when he came and said, now we are going digital. Everything will be done digitally.
Yes. So that like you apply for maybe your good conduct certificate or whatever, you will just go online, key in the details of your business. There will be evaluation and you'll be told, the system will indicate the much money you're supposed to pay. You pay online, it generates a trading license. You can print it and hang it. Print it, frame it, and hang it.
You're done.
In fact, when an officer who is trying to enforce the law on that taxation comes to your office, the county officers, the kanjos, they come to your office, they will not need to start questioning you. Why have you not paid for the trading license? Why have you not hanged? Give us this amount of bribe. No, they do not do that, because from their end, they can be able to see in their system that your business is paid for. So it also reduces the chances of people having to be in positions where they can ask for bribes. You understand? So look at this margin improving from around 360 billion to in excess of 1.2 billion within a year. Tells you this. How much money is it? 9 billion per week we are collecting. Maybe the KRA is collecting maybe in a week. Suppose you improved it by the same rate. Don't we have money?
We have.
Thank you.
We have
so
money.
I mean no disrespect, but the national government should go to Murang'a County to benchmark on how they can collect more money without adding the burden to common mwananchi.
But now the problem, the problem is not even about going to benchmark. The problem is these other counties that are not developed, normally feels like these the developed counties, like now the Murang'a. Let's say, for instance, let me just give an example with a county like, which county can I? Siaya County. Let me just give an example with Siaya County, being led by James Agri Orengo. Whenever they are told to go and benchmark in a county that has developed, they feel like they are being infiltrated. Like, why are we being intimidated? Why are we being told to go there? Where did they get the money? Now the problem is, how did they get the money? Like, let's look at the scenario of how do we call him? This member of parliament, the chairman of.
The outgoing chairman of Dindi Nyoro. Yes.
Now, did you listen to what people like Junet Mohamed were saying, that how can we be told to go and benchmark in a constituency of a member of parliament? Where did he get the money to do development? So the money is there, but now the problem is, how are you using the money?
I think I'll respond to that one in two ways. Number one, remember I mentioned about the goodwill. We can have policies, we can have ideas, but the goodwill to implement this one. How much are our leaders willing to do that?
Yeah.
Because even right now, I think people the people who are watching us and those ones in power will maybe come and ask you, why was that guy
why was it telling
that? Feel it is disrespectful. It's a question of pride and ego. It is wrong. We should put our ego aside for the interests of Mwananchi as leaders. Number two, Dindi Nyoro, in as much as I give him his credit, but in as much as he's delivered and done all that, still there is more than catches the eye. Why am I saying so? When you go to parliament, we have got committees, and these committees are the ones which determine your influence in government. You understand?
Yeah.
So, for example, when you are the chairman of the budget committee, that is a very powerful position. Hatuwezi kulinganisha with somebody who is in charge of the kitchen and the welfare of MPs.
Like I was complaining
that tomorrow you'll take tea without sugar. That one they can
because you are in.
But the chairman of the budget committee will lead a committee that is vetting even the CS treasury. And in this case, you are a man of influence. So there are things in terms of lobbying, you can lobby better than others. So in as much as it is wrong when people feel like they should not go benchmark, but he was lucky. In the 2 terms he has been the MP, he was in Uhuru government, he was on the side of government. He has never been an opposition MP. So the committee he holds is a strong committee, a committee that it gives him influence and power to be able to lobby things from the government. So it is that. But it also explained a way where, the process of procurement also in our country is sometimes wanting. And I remember this as I conclude on the Dindi Nyoro issue. I remember sometimes when Raila was giving his manifesto and he said that he was going to be giving a 6,000 stipend to those jobless and whatever. He was asked a question of where will you get this money? The Mzee had done his mapping and everything. He had the figures. He had the exact a good number of. He had the exact number of those people who are jobless. He had a good number of those people who are unable to even put ugali on the table. And he knew that these number of families. I'll deliver these in these phases. And he was challenged. Where are you going to get this money? He said that he could achieve whatever the outgoing president Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta was achieving using 40% of whatever he was spending. And he gave us a scenario of something, talk about this your pain, which is costing 1,000 shillings. We are a parastatal or whatever, a government entity. We are supposed to decide on, we shall have 5 meetings. We are 10. We are having 5 meetings, that costs 50,000 of allowance. to go and decide on which brand of the pen we are going to buy. And remember, the pen is costing 1,000.
1,000 bob. And we're having 5 meetings.
Then after the 5 meetings now of deciding the brand, then we go to another 5 meetings that will help us decide on
which color.
Yes, the color will come in, and then the bidder in terms of tendering, who will supply. And in fact, we shall do the meetings, but the results are predetermined. You have your own person you want to get and you've succeeded. So we are just doing the meeting for simplicity purposes. So this means there is a lot of wastage in our ministries. There is a lot of wastages in our public institutions. So we need to first of all manage that wastage. And it all brings us to the question of Murang'a County. Manage the excesses. You understand? Once you've managed the excesses, then there will be enough for us to carry out other things. So Didi Nyoro was also explaining a way which I believe it is brilliant. Mugala muwe haki mpe. He said, you're bringing a check of 500,000 to say a school.
Yeah, school.
The law has given you, by the time you're leaving that gate, you're leaving with 150. So the school is remaining with 350. 350. Then the guys, the contractors, whatever. By at the end of the day, whatever will reach this school will be, say, 200,000. Because this other money has been. So you cut the whole chain and make sure that money goes direct to the school so that you maximize whatever you have. So that one, kudos and credit to him.
But now another problem, about people complaining that someone like now the issue of Ndini Nyoro. Let us still go back there for a minute. And Ndini Nyoro, people were saying that Ndini Nyoro he took some money, a lot of money, because he was the chairman of the budget committee. Now, being the chairman of budget committee, is he the person that was handling money, or there were people who were handling money, and then maybe he was just giving direction, do this, do this, do this?
Being the chairman of the budget committee, you are like the person who audits the ones who handle money. So, off the record, you can make a lot of money. Yes. Because suppose I'm the CS treasury and tomorrow I'm coming and I know there is a question that is very sensitive that if you asked, then I'm in problems. And I call you today to tell you, please don't ask me that question. You have the power to even blackmail me. So that one is possibly how it can work. Because mostly the way these officers are working, blackmail is always a play. Yes.
So it's not about now getting the money, allocating yourself money. It's just the money that is coming behind the door, like back doors.
Bonnie, let me tell you. Take an example of the hiring of teachers by the
TAC and
the TAC.
Yeah.
Once, do you know that there is nobody from Kiharu constituency who has graduated and gotten a TSC number and is not employed?
All of them are.
Yes, because the moment you get it, you go through Didi Nyoro and you're employed.
You're employed.
And then there is a member of parliament in Bomet, or talk about a member of parliament in Baringo, who doesn't have that power to get those positions. You understand? In this county, you will find that there is somebody who was stomached for 7 years.
Looking for job.
He completed his university education in, say, 2018 or 2015. You understand? From 2018 to 2015, this guy normally goes for interviews, he never gets it.
We'll call you.
You understand? This guy is still doing some BOM jobs elsewhere. But there is one person who graduated as late as last December. In Kiharu constituency, he is now employed by the commission. So still, let us call a spade, and unless we have the courage to call these things out, we're headed nowhere. We are just emotional fools.
But Kevin, don't you think that it's this saying which goes that if you get an opportunity, maybe if you are, okay, let's say for instance you are a father, and you have children, you're a father, and maybe you have kids, and then these kids, all of them, or maybe 2 or 3 of them, did a mistake, and then the mistake they did, the same neighbor's child did it. As a father, what would you do? Would you prefer punishing your kids first and then going to punish the kids of your neighbor, or what would you do?
Now, responding to that, I'll tell you this straightforward.
Yeah.
In Didi Bonyoro's position, I could do the same.
Yeah.
So it is not about him. I was only, you had asked, I was only trying to bring in the question of that. He's had a bit of luck with the positions and being, he has never been an opposition MP.
Yeah, you've said that.
He's always in government. So for that reason, he has had that.
So you use the opportunity well.
I am not, yes. If I can be able to blackmail as yes and make sure that a road has gone to my constituency, I come from Soi, sorry to say, and there is a road that is going to be tarmacked, 50 kilometers road, why would I not? Because nikuvuta kwako is a question of lobbying. The resources are scarce, it is scrambled for them. Use the best means possible. So to me, the only thing I can say maybe could be wrong is if in any case there is anything that he does to his own personal advantage. But if it is for his own people, why would I not do that? It is okay. And then these leaders we are talking about, and this is my point, they are the face of who a Kenyan is.
Yeah, that's true.
When you look at His Excellency, the President, William Samoei Kipchirchir Arap Ruto, he is the exact, if you are from outside Kenya and you want to know who a Kenyan is, he represents Kenyans. Because these people, it is Chemiat today, who will come tomorrow and ask for your votes and get those positions.
Yeah, that's true.
So William Ruto is a normal Kenyan who has been given power and some bit of wealth. So you should not castigate him. He is just you. Look yourself in the mirror and looking at William Ruto as a Kenyan in the context of being a Kenyan. Looking at William Ruto and what he does and looking at yourself in the mirror is one but the same thing.
But Kevin, what normally happens when these leaders they ask for votes, just like you mentioned, that Mr. President is just like as a normal Kenyan like us, because before he became president, he was a normal citizen. It's just that he asked for votes, he was elected, and then he was given. In fact, we employed him as the president. So what happens when these people ask for votes? They humble themselves, and then after getting into power, now they change automatically. What normally happens?
Given an opportunity, you never know who cannot do the same. It's a question of the campaigns and now the time for service. Our politics are one of the most followed politics on the planet. Because they are interesting. They have a lot of dynamics. Kenyans are brilliant. Kenyans are bright. Everybody has got an idea. So you strive and struggle to beat your opponent by any means possible. Even if it is you standing on the rooftop of your vehicle and telling them, nikichaguliwa nitabadilisha visima vyote badala ya maji, maziwa na sharubati. I'll do it.
You'll do that.
Yeah, simple. So, because you want to beat your opponent by any means possible, right or wrong. You just believe the end justifies the means. So, when they make promises, sometimes reality gets away from them. You forget about the practicability of what you're promising. Because, the role of an opposition leader, or when you are outside the government and talking about what the government should do, is very easy. It's like a football match. Football fans will believe. You feel it is easy, but put yourself there and you'll know that it is not an easy job. So you'll be promising things because you are outside of the government and you've not vetted well, you've not investigated well, you've not put your facts together about the practicability of this particular thing you're promising. So for that reason, when you get into power and realize, now I have this position, but where it is not I thought. You understand? So that is what happens. It's not about these people even changing. It's about they believed it is possible. They believed it is easy until they got there. So the reality hits people
when they're there.
Yes.
So like now make me understand. You said that before you get a position, you are really eager. You can even say that mimi nikipata nafasi hii barabara nitatengeneza.
Yes.
Like mimi nikipata nafasi hii maisha watu nitabadilisha ikuwe hivi. But now get in there. You'll forget everything that you promised.
No, now this is it. You promised watu nitabadilisha visima na tap mifereji
badala ya maji ikuwe sharubati.
Yes. Then you go there and your magic is not working. You know, hey, since I'll not deliver this, I'm going home. So let me just amass wealth and go home.
Okay.
So it's a question of you have given up because what you thought you could do, you cannot be able to do.
So now the problem comes whereby you give fake promises, and then after giving promises, you realize that you cannot do what you said. So when you get in office, now you start accumulating the wealth, and then knowing very well that you need to be elected, so utaenda nyumbani.
So this is what they believe, and a majority of Kenyans do the same once they have been elected. At first, they are not fake promises. When you are talking about it, sometimes you even believe about the same. You believe that indeed you are going to build a 200-kilometer bitumen whatever road. You are going to supply water. Then when you get into power and you realize there are not enough resources to do what you promised, and then people start bringing it back because those people you beat and those ones who have got who are vying, who are admiring your seat start now revealing to the people, si aliwaambia,
okay,
and you feel like the pressure is too much. You will start using lies to cover up, lies that bind. You try to cover up that. You try to defend yourself. You try to give reasons. You try to do this. You try to do this. At last, you feel but because mbele we do not know. The future is very pregnant. So what we are going to do? Let me make sure that nikitoka hapa siulizwi alikuwa MP siku hizi anatembea na slippers ama sijui whatever. You understand? So that is normally what is happening. At the time you promise, you believe it is possible. You just feel like the present day government is not doing enough. But when reality hits you after getting there is when you start like, no, it was not like, this is not what I expected.
But is it not easier, or is it not wise for just these politicians whenever they campaign or they do their politics? Somebody just say the truth. Why is it so hard for politicians to just say that mimi mkinichagua hii barabara kama sitatengeneza ni sawa, kama natengeneza ni sawa? Why can't we just be open?
Because remember those politicians, it is bringing us back to the question of who are they? They are just normal Kenyans. Sindio? And the people you are campaigning to are Kenyans. People whom, if you told the truth, you will not be elected.
Okay.
You understand? If you told them the truth, you are beaten. The other guy is lying and you are telling them the truth. And lies, like our former president calls it, mudomo tamutam.
Mudomo tamutam,
Yes, lies normally bind very well. Yeah.